Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Class vs. Crass Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Hey Jay, aka The Class. Crass, he's not here tonight, but we got Greg with a very fine ass. All right.
I'll count for a smidgen of his crass.
Yeah, you're up there. You're up there. You kind of count. So, word to the wise: don't jinx sicknesses. So last week, I think Sean was a little vocal about not having to be fearful of this virus that's going around the world. I'm not saying he has it, but he's sick. So,
but you're also not saying he has it.
Exactly. Do we know he could have it? I don't know. He's in a good enough mood to tell me off, so that tells me he's not like on his deathbed. If he's able to be moody, that means he's got enough energy. So yeah, no RGT tonight. He's not feeling so well, so he's taking his naps. But you've got Greg, myself, and we're going to be talking about. Well, first let's go over the rules. This is a 1 hour podcast where we go over what we've been playing over the past week. Then we're going to go into the major headlines this week. We're going to be talking about GDC's cancellation and speculate as to what that could mean to the gaming industry, because we're going to get to it in a bit, but it's a big event. We're going to talk about the Yacht Club Games Direct that happened last week. We got a bunch of new Shovel Knight news to talk about, as well as a really cool Sexy Ninja game. What else do we have? Greg, you had some list of things that you want to go over. I don't know if you were exaggerating here or what. You want to talk about Doom Eternal with apparently a very high FPS.
A very high FPS. No, that's legit.
You put 1,000 frames per second here. Is that? I thought you were just trying to exaggerate.
No, they're that's coming out of PAX too. They're just on a road to rip and tear your eye sockets with 1,000 FPS uncapped.
I can't even imagine what that must look like.
Yeah.
You also want to talk about Rockstar. We're going to be talking about Platinum Games. They revealed a new game that they're working on, which looks pretty interesting. And then we're going to save the last 15 minutes of the show for questions, topics, anything we don't cover that you might want to ask us about. So since Sean's not here, we're going to be talking about ecosystems and the subscription model of Xbox for the next hour. So get yourself comfortable. I'm just going to get off my chest. I don't think Greg's going to interrupt me too much on this. I'm surprised he's not hanging out in the chat tonight. But let's get started with what have you been playing? Oh, bearded one.
Still kind of on that Sonic Adventure kick. Usually Sundays are my day to kind of catch up and everything. Still got a little bit of ways through Stella. That was the atmospheric kind of puzzle platformer that I was going to be playing for review. Not much I can talk on that. I mean, other than I'm playing it, and I'm trying to think what else that I picked up this week.
Why does it look like Angry Birds?
What, Stella?
Yeah.
Definitely not. Stela?
Stela?
Yeah.
Oh, if you have two L's, it's an Angry Bird.
Oh.
With ladybirds.
Did you ever watch that movie, Lady Bird?
I didn't even know that was a thing either. Oh, this is a very different game with one L.
It's most deaf.
Looks like Slenderman. Looks creepy. Here, I'll put it up for those who want to see it. That's what Greg's playing. Very creepy.
Yup.
I peeked at your PlayStation stuff. I saw you started Spider-Man.
Oh, yes. I actually did. I forgot about that. So I was trying to tell myself to hold off to wait until I got a PS4 Pro or PS5. And I was like,
don't need to wait.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I already downloaded it. I already did the update. I already had it installed. So I only have a 500 gig hard drive. There's really
Same.
Only enough room for Spider-Man and Call of Duty. Call of Duty, the last update was 50 gigs. There was already 140 downloaded on it. 140 gigs, dude. And so I was like, I'm just going to play it. But I started it out and I was fearful that, after playing on PC and Xbox One X, that it was going to be a shit experience, and it's beautiful, and I really like the way that it's well optimized just for the PS4.
Are you a Spider-Man fan at all?
Yes. So,
okay. So it's really it's one of the greats.
Yeah.
How far did you get into it?
Not very far.
Oh, you just popped it in, looked at the opening cinematic.
No, I got into some of the combat, the exploration, and yeah, just kind of checking it out, seeing it's weird coming in, because most of the time when games like this that are super popular, that are also an IP or a fandom that I like, it's hard for me it's either like, okay, play it right now with everybody else to be in the hype, or play it when I genuinely feel that I can absorb something from it and enjoy it. And that's where I'm at right now. And it's just, I think I'll probably take my time with it, but I'll probably want to just work my way through the campaign and see if it's what it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, it's the campaign. The story to that game is fantastic, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan. You're gonna love it. I loved it so much I got into the comic book series. I don't know if you're into comic books. But they made its own, like in that universe, they created its own comic book series. The first chunk is like 6 issues, I believe, that goes through the story of the game. But then that was so well received, they started building additional stories, which are like 4 to 5 issue comic books.
That's cool.
And I think they're on their 2nd or 3rd block of story now. So yeah, they're really expanding on it. Like the last chunk that I read, it actually introduced a new character that wasn't even in the game. So they're really starting to branch out.
Yeah.
Nice mug.
Yeah. I think it's weird. Like growing up, we never, like my brother and I never really caught the comic bug, but we were very much so into like all the X-Men cards, like the 94 Flare Ultra, like all the panoramic cards that you could collect. Like a little bit into, I remember Wolverine and the whole Cyber series and that comic. Like we did buy some every so often, but it was more so like the cards and the games. And that's when like there wasn't anything Marvel around. It was like very
well, it was
scarce.
mostly the TV show.
Yeah, like, the animated series,
the cartoons. There was, I know X-Men was big, Spider-Man was big.
I loved the Spider-Man show. That was like my favorite.
Same, that's how I got into Spider-Man, yeah. Still got that like intro
radioactive
song. Yes.
Yeah.
So good. The X-Men series, I never really got into it though, until the films. The films is what pulled me into the X-Men universe.
The X-Men animated series is surprisingly more adult, going back and looking and watching the show. It's much different than obviously it was a kid when I was watching it. I probably didn't pick up on the themes that were being discussed, but going back, I mean, you had people dying, you had people in love with other people's spouses, you had
really
Wolverine always, at a constant, throwing constant jabs at Scott, or Cyclops and Jean, the whole Jean thing. And it's just, I don't know. It's like, if you go back and watch it now, there's so much more, I think, to be gleaned from it and to enjoy about it. But and the animation as the series went on I think it got worse, in some cases better, but I don't know. I think it's worth a watch. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, like they're all on Disney Plus. I found out, I think Iron Man had a series in the 90s that I learned through Disney Plus, but
I don't even remember.
It's not the same. There's a reason we don't know about these shows. The ones that like didn't get great. I think so. Iron Man, 1990s.
I vaguely remember like War Machine.
Really?
In the Iron Man. That's the extent of it.
Yeah, 1994 to 1996, there was an Iron Man cartoon series. It lasted 2 seasons. So I didn't even know about Iron Man until the 2008 film.
Oh, that's cool. Jonathan in the chat said the X-Men animated series was all voice acted in Canada.
I had no idea.
Sick.
Yeah, I couldn't get into that. I was really big into that. Like, I remember I'd come back from school and I'd get home in time to watch I think 3 cartoon shows. So I'd flip between either it was Fox Kids or I think like the other one. There was Fox Kids and there was another one. There was basically 2 channels around that time that would air after school. And Power Rangers was a thing. VR Troopers.
Oh yeah, VR Troopers, dude.
Beetleborg. I didn't like that one as much. The Beetleborg.
I don't remember that one.
It's kids in a comic book store and they like transform into Power Rangers.
Oh yeah.
It was called Beetleborg.
Like vaguely remember that.
Yeah, and then otherwise it was the cartoons.
Animaniacs.
Whatever cartoons. Animaniacs, I watched that. Pinky and the Brain. Darkwing Duck.
Oh yeah.
DuckTales,
Tailspin.
Yeah. Disney had a good solid block back then.
Jackie Chan Adventures.
Chan Adventures.
Get out of here.
That one was good too, though. One more thing.
Right.
How do we get into all this? Oh, because you're playing Spider-Man. Yeah. Yes, it's a great game. And after you're done the campaign, I highly recommend picking up the DLC, which Brett was also pointing out. It's a nice little slice. It's basically, it's a proper DLC. It's like a whole other chunk of game added on. So if you enjoy the campaign, you're going to enjoy the DLC.
Yeah, I made him watch the X-Men animated series. We got back to the hotel and we were half drunk, half tired. And I was like, we got to put the laptop on because we had a pretty cool setup there for our Airbnb. You know, they had TV and everything and Wi-Fi, so we just chilled out on the couches and wound down for the night, even though Brett was adamant about going out and partying. And I was like, I'm so old and tired.
Did you guys cuddle?
And mind your own business, Jason.
You did. Anything else you played?
Not really, no. I just, it's been kind of crazy lately. Just my work schedule and everything, and so I've been kind of all over the place, but some health issues too. But yeah,
hope everything's okay.
Yeah, me too. But if you're old enough to play retro games and remember that stuff as a kid, it's probably time to go get a colonoscopy.
Jeez, man. All right, we're not going to dig into that, but we definitely won't get into that. I like how you brought up earlier the point of getting into a game when the whole fandom is in it versus getting into it later, which is something I find is harder to do after being in the whole review cycle. I think once you've gone into the review cycle and have had access to the latest and greatest games for basically free a lot of the times, it's kind of hard to go back to the having to pay for everything, and so you have to pick and choose what you're going to miss out on basically. And one of those games was Dragon Quest Builders 2, which came out I think last summer. And I remember it came out, I never played the first one. I played the demo and I was like, I could kind of get behind this. And it was getting so well reviewed, Dragon Quest Builders 2. I was like, I really want to get into this, but I do not want to pay full price for a game I'm not quite sure enough. And I had so many other games to play. Anyways, so now that there's really nothing out right now, we're kind of in a bit of a drought. That game is on sale. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is on sale right now on PlayStation Store for I think 30 or 40% off. So I'm like, all right, now's the time. I got really nothing big to play. Discount. I'll get into it. So it's $50 Canadian with the discount and everything after taxes. I pop it in yesterday. I play the first hour. It's heavy on dialogue, and it is not even interesting dialogue. It's like talking to a kid dialogue. I'm just like, I have made the biggest mistake of my life. This game is garbage. It's so boring. It holds your hand beyond belief. And I was really like sinking into my couch with like, shit, I just spent all this money for nothing. But after you leave the first island and you land on the first island, there's like a hub island, I think. It's called the Island of Awakening. That's where you start the game. And they're like, look at all this thing. You can do whatever you want, but first get on that boat and get out of here. And then you can never go back to that island again. Like they just tease what that island could be. And then you go to this island to go and get like vegetables and fruits, and you arrive there and the whole island is polluted and toxic. And it's like you come across like a destroyed farm, and there's like a girl and she's like, I would love to build a farm. And that little thought, 10 hours later, you're like so invested in these people and building out this farm and helping monsters on the other side of the island so that they can get pumpkins and tomatoes. dude, my entire weekend is just gone to this
Good
game.
Lord.
Like I had to pull myself away from, like, just peel myself away from the screen to do this podcast because I was playing it from pretty much the moment I stopped working early in the afternoon. I sat in to play. I'm like, I'll just play a few hours. No, 6 hours later, I just got sucked into it. Have you played it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, if Animal Crossing is anything like this, I get it. But I feel this game does it better because it's like Minecraft with quests and a story, which is everything I felt Minecraft was missing. So, like, for example, you'll show up.
Sean hat on real quick.
Oh, shit.
So you're saying it's like Animal Crossing and you've never played any of the Animal Crossing games? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, pretty much. Does the story actually get good? Honestly, Brett, I'm not even invested in the story anymore. I'm invested in my stupid farm and making a kitchen for this one girl and making a toilet so I can collect people's dirty poo so that I can make fertilizer so I can grow my... I swear, man, I am not lying. These are all steps you need to do. And I accidentally built my toilet too close to the edge, so the enemies were bombing it when you were trying to take a bomb or doing a bomb, and it was just like, oh, I gotta move my toilet over. It's fun. It's fun. It doesn't just toss everything at you right away, but if you get into it, you have to give it 2 hours. The first hour or so, it's so slow, it's tedious. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you hit that farm segment, they send you on a quest, so they don't overwhelm you. They're like, go on a quest, and then they're like, all right, we need you to build this, and then they give you a few things, and you start getting they just ease you into it, and it's such a good balance between exploring and you can explore, you can come across puzzles very much like Korok Seeds in Breath of the Wild, where there's a little shrine, you're like, oh, what is this? I mean, they just expect you to move things. They don't tell you. You just have to do it. And if you solve the puzzle, you get a little medal. What does that medal do? I don't know yet. I'm 10 hours in, and they haven't explained what the medal does, but I want to collect them all. And yeah, you just keep doing stuff. I haven't even gotten to the point where I'm building anything crazy. Like in Minecraft, you could be like, oh, I'm going to build this massive castle. I'm still just trying to make my barn efficient, my farm efficient, so that I can build, so that I can get to the next. Right now, I've pretty much got all my fields. I've got all my crops. Now it's time for the festival. And when I'm saying all of this out loud, this sounds so stupid. I sound like an Animal Crossing fan. But I got to get my jack-o'-lanterns, and I got to get I got to make the farm look nice because it's festival time. Anyways, it's good.
Dragon Quest.
Builders 2. Yeah. And I think if you're... Oh, shit. Is the lip sync off? Sorry, guys. To my mic for my streams, and I forget to take it off. There we go. Should be better now.
If you want me to bring some crass, give me a hell yeah.
Dude, you bring crass all the time. You should hear you should see some of this stuff this guy replies to me off air when I was like, are you ready for tonight? What did you reply, Greg?
Absolutely. I'm ready.
That is not what you replied. Should I read it out loud? Should I read it out loud?
Do it.
I said, hey, are you ready? He says, like a sweaty piece of underwear in someone's butt crack at PAX.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I said that.
Oh, wait, I didn't say, are you ready? Hang on, that doesn't make sense as a reply to are you ready? I said, are you in? And that's what you replied.
You want a shovel?
Speaking of Shovel Knight. So Yacht Club game had a direct last week. Did you watch it?
I did not. I just caught the post announcement news and stuff.
So it wasn't it's not a video that you should necessarily watch. It is clearly a direct ripoff of a Nintendo Direct done with far less
pizzazz. Flavor.
Let's go with that. I don't want to knock on Yacht Club games. They're good. They're good at making games. Maybe they should.
I just think it's the craziest thing that when that whole split happened, when Yacht Club kind of branched off or whatever from why am I blanking right now? From Way Forward, that was some of the people from the studio had moved over to work on this project. But I mean, to me, they're practically the same studio, I feel like they have the same amount of polish between them, and that's something they must have taken with them when they branched off and left. But yeah, this is my observation.
They're kind of similar, I guess. I personally prefer Yacht Club games more. I feel
Mhm.
I feel there's a bit more depth to their games when I think of their games. They are similar. So, anyways, if you haven't watched Yacht Club Games Direct, happened I think last Thursday. Here are the big updates. Basically, they announced a new Shovel Knight game called Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, which might not be the game that you were expecting. It's a match 3 puzzle game with a little bit of a twist. It gave me, it reminded me a bit of Cadence of Hyrule with the way that you move Shovel Knight to like the rhythm.
Oh yeah.
So like you're in a like Tetris box with blocks falling and stuff, and you basically interact by moving your character inside that box and matching puzzles. It looks interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice plus, but for me, really, I don't think it really does anything.
I like that they're taking this IP that they have a lot of equity in. They spent the last 5, 7, whatever years building up this brand, and to port that brand to more genres that can also go to more, like when I saw this I was like, oh, they're going to the mobile market. That wasn't confirmed. They didn't say what platform it's going to be on,
Hmm.
but I like that right now they're expanding, and I think they need to expand the Shovel Knight reach as much as they can to just kind of pull in all that revenue so that they can then build a Shovel Knight 2
Hmm.
or something like that.
Do you think their next game will be uh, more along the Shovel Knight lines, or do you think it's going to be something completely different? Like,
Uh, it's a good question. So they did confirm that they're working on 2 new games that they're not announcing this year.
hmm
Um, so 2, I mean, I don't know if they wanted. They just spent what 6, 7 years building 2D platformers, and they basically made 4 of them.
yeah,
So
with the amount of content they had.
like each of those DLCs were their own games. So they could, sure, they could make a 5th 2D platformer if they're not creatively exhausted. They clearly have the skill to do so. Um, and maybe they want to do that, but maybe they want to be a little bit more creatively challenged. And if so, if they're willing to take risks, I think we're going to see them do something entirely new. Maybe they're going to go into 3D. Maybe they're going to do a Metroidvania. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. I think
Yeah,
if, yeah.
I hope they. I really do hope they do something different. I mean, I I appreciate Shovel Knight and the franchise for and Yacht Club Games for what they built, but I also think they're too good of a studio to rest on their laurels, not to really expand out and capture a bigger slice of the market that I feel like they deserve. You know, it's the same thing with Way Forward.
Yep.
I mean, I've been a fan for a long time, and I just want to see them keep succeeding because of the kind of games that they can build. Shovel Knight 64, no thank you.
See, I think that's too much of the obvious thing. Everybody's a Shovel Knight VR. I would take 64 over VR, please. Um, I would personally like to see it in 16-bit. I feel when I play Shovel Knight now or any of the DLC, it's the color palette that gets to me where I'm just like, it's so limited because they are purposefully using the 8-bit art style. So
Mhm.
the color, like if you look at the
Yeah, but
16-bit,
then you get like that like they're almost I dislike that for the sole reason that if somebody does an 8-bit reimagining like they did here, then like in your head, well, obviously the next evolution is 16-bit and then 32 and then whatever. But I don't know. I feel like there's a certain style that comes with 8-bit games and chip tunes, and that it's not a genre. I don't know. I just think sometimes it loses some of its muster when it moves to 16-bit, because in your head that's where they should go next. Maybe that is where they think the game needs to go next in order to progress visually,
Mhm.
but it doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
It doesn't have to. I'm just saying. In fact, now that we're talking about it, I think we're not going to see Shovel Knight necessarily in one of those 2 games. They're probably going to try to build up new IPs instead of just banking everything on Shovel Knight. So I think that they need to do a 2 course where they keep pushing Shovel Knight to try and get more of that mainstream attention, but they have to start building new IPs as well. which is what they're kind of doing. I don't know how much of this Cyber Shadow they own. I don't know if they're just publishers of that.
Yeah, I think it was like a one-person studio on it too.
Yeah.
Did Shovel Knight release on Stadia?
I don't think so. SteamWorld just announced that they were on Stadia today.
Interesting.
So here's a picture of this is the Shovel Knight Dig game, which is a collaboration, and this is a 16-bit game, so it shows you what Shovel Knight could look like in the 16-bit style. This one's a little bit more chibi cute style, but it still uses a 16-bit palette, and it's just beautiful. I love this. Like this is what I want to see my Shovel Knight games to look like.
Actually, dude, Shovel Knight Kart sounds like a kick-ass time.
Yeah.
In the chat.
You know what? Shovel Knight Kart would work because each character is so unique. Oh, by the way, have you tried so it's part of the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, but it's like the Smash version of Shovel Knight. What's it called? Shovel Knight Showdown. Have you tried that?
I have not.
Do you have the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove?
I have Shovel Knight, but I have only played a little bit of it.
Do you have like the one that comes with everything, all the DLC?
I don't think so, no. I bought it when it first launched. I think I was playing it on the...
Okay, well, if you bought it when it first launched, you have access to all the DLC. That's part of the deal.
Oh.
Yeah. So
maybe I need to go back and play.
so just like load it in, and you're going to have to download a ton of updates. It's going to be worth it. Try it. Shovel Knight Showdown. I totally was not expecting this to be such a full fleshed out package. It's a fighting game where each character has its own moveset. It's literally a Smash game in the Shovel Knight universe. And when you play it, each character has its own like arcade storyline. So you have a reason to play each character because there's even its own achievement system. Like it's its own separate game. So right now, if you get Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, you get the base game, you get 3 DLCs, and then you get that fighting game. That is 5 games in one. Am I selling you on this? Yeah, if you have the Wii, is that the Wii U version? You have everything. Pop it in, and you.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Oh, back when it had like a fat instruction booklet to it too.
Yeah, as Tron Realm says, if the only one you have is physical, you get everything.
Oh, and a free copy of the soundtrack. Wow, I should probably play my games that I buy more often.
Yeah, you get everything.
How about that?
Isn't that nice? It's like you just found 4 games for free on your shelf.
Oh, shit.
So they also announced, this is so random, they announced Shovel Knight stickers for your, I think for iPhone or something. So if you use stickers, you can now like reply to your friends with Shovel Knight emojis, pretty much.
I love it.
I love that too, and that's what I mean, that they are pushing that Shovel Knight IP more mainstream. And I think
do you feel like it's an attempt to better build out a brand?
Yes, I think so. Absolutely. They built such a rich universe. Like once you've played all the DLC, you start seeing like a bigger fleshed out universe. There's so much to this IP. They're just brilliant, and they've done something that if we're gonna compare it to Way Forward, like I feel Way Forward did not do as successfully with Shantae. So Shantae is a 20-year-old IP, and I feel that the stories that we see are not that different from one another. Like it's always kind of the same ideas, the same characters.
Find your powers, discover new ideas.
Yeah, like they all feel fairly similar, and I feel that Way Forward never really took the risk to really expand on that. Whereas Yacht Club took it to a whole other level.
Which is like crazy, especially because one of the last reviews I did for PlayStation was Shantae Half Genie Hero.
Yeah,
that game is so beautifully animated, is so just artistically rich throughout the whole experience. Like it was by far like one of my favorite games to date, just because of the quality of the animation and the art style. Everything was I loved it. And the hitboxes were tight, and music and boss battles. Yeah,
I feel that's an underdeveloped IP. Shantae could do so much more, could try so many more genres. It's a shame that she's not developed more.
Easy, Jason.
So we got a new trailer for Cyber Shadow, which looks pretty good. How do you feel about it? Have you watched it?
Yeah, and for 14.99, I mean that should be an easy buy for
Oh,
anybody.
did they announce the price? That didn't even
I
stick.
believe so.
Just playing it. It looks very um, Messenger Ninja Gaiden inspired.
Yeah, 14.99.
Oh yeah, that's really good. It looks more serious though than Messenger. I like that it has the retro cutscenes. I don't know though if this is going to be the fun kind of ninja game or the hard kind of ninja game. What do you think?
But I think it'll be hard, but I think it will also be like fulfilling.
Yeah,
Like I mean, especially to modernize it.
yeah,
But I mean, it
it's a
looks
fine
dope as
balance.
hell, man.
It does. Like I like how all these um, movements and motion, like the secondary attacks, flow very well. You can kind of like chain your attacks and either use it to platform with it or to just like kill more enemies with it.
Yeah,
No, it looks cool, and the cutscenes look cool. Everything about it looks good. Like, just give it to me. I'm ready.
yeah.
I'm gonna drop some money on this. Is there a release date for this yet, or no?
I think this one
Don't
is
think we have one yet.
a February 20.
What?
I don't know.
No, I don't think they. The trailer that didn't have one, so I'm gonna say no. And otherwise, yeah. So it was like a 10-minute direct, but hey, these days it's better than what Nintendo's giving.
Yeah.
You think we're gonna get a direct this month?
In March, now that we're in March,
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll have something to say. I mean, it's too close to all these like potential ones that we could have had and stuff like that. I think it's too close to E3 to not do something.
Unless they've, I don't know, the the gaming 2020 is really weird for gaming so far. I feel there hasn't been a lot of exciting things to talk about in
Yeah.
terms of games. There's events happening in the industry, but there's no games to really like talk about.
Yeah, I think that, that's and I've noticed that over the past couple of years, having these small celebrations or studios doing, their version of directs, like it almost creates silos for these companies to have their communication exist in, instead of putting it on a platform like E3 and having them be a part of the Xbox press conference. They're instead opting for these kind of micro press conferences, but then that also takes whatever they were trying to communicate and puts it into one small platform versus like putting it out on a big stage and letting the biggest megaphone in the room talk about and sell their game. But I think that's just a sign of the times. It's just the modern day we live in, and I don't even know what to expect from E3 this year.
Oh
It's
yeah, that's another. The industry is changing right now, like
Yeah.
ridiculously. So, and that's a good segue to talk about GDC, which in the title we said, what could this mean for the industry? GDC, it's the Game Developer Conference, happens every year. And for the most part, there's usually not announcements that come out of GDC. So it might not be something that if you're just, into gaming as a fan, you're very familiar with. But it's about a week-long conference in San Francisco. It's been around for like 20 years. And it's where all the developers gather to learn, share knowledge, and do business. And a lot of deals happen here. A lot of indie games get picked up and get published. A lot of developers find funding for their games at this conference. Um,
it's a really, if you ever get the opportunity to go, I mean, it's really cool because you get any developers that bring their game, that have traveled from Ireland or the UK, and they're all collaborating in San Francisco. But it's part of them bringing their game, what they've worked on, and showcasing it. But it's also for them to learn too. There's tons of different like talks that you can go to, workshops, and I just think it's really cool. Like it's a really good experience.
Yeah, it's especially if I'd say more if you're into game development to go. There's also a show floor. I've never been myself. It's something I want to go, but it is extremely expensive to go to.
Mhm.
Tickets just to get into the show floor are a couple of $100s. You want to get a flight into San Fran. At least from my end, it's like that's 1,000 there and back. But where you really get killed is the hotel to stay in
Mhm.
San Francisco. You're looking at easily $300 to $500 a night, which is just ridiculous.
And see, I had the luxury of all these years of just driving up to the show. Granted, I say driving when I was leaving at like 5 o'clock in the morning just to be there at 10 with traffic and everything. But it was it's. I mean, you'll talk to people that you wouldn't normally talk to or meet, and they're accessible, and it's a much more because it's all the like video game staff, the developers themselves. It's a little bit more lax on if you want to talk to so and so, they're right there sitting in a talk next to you, and you can actually pick their brain, and it's, I don't know, it's very much of the industry people, but it's also you know it's a different experience and something out of like completely different from like PAX or even the Consumer Electronics Show or E3.
Hmm. But the point is that for the industry, this is where a lot of deals are made. And last year, there was a lot of buzz around it because that's when there was the rumors of Microsoft's Xbox platform potentially opening up to partners like Nintendo, and it's vague right now, but that was a big talk last year. And it's also when Stadia came out because they were looking for support for people to develop on the Stadia platform, so that's why they made a big hurrah there. So now the fact that that's not happening, at least in March, they're saying it's going to be delayed into later this year. But even if it's delayed, not everyone's going to be like a lot of people plan for March to do this, so it's not going to be the same. And then you have E3, which is similarly falling apart just from on its own, not because of any external factors. You already have PlayStation that's pulled out. You have a lot of other publishers that have pulled out in the past years, and based on what Jeff Keighley's saying, it's not sounding so good. And then there was a whole fiasco of leaking all of the press's address and info last year. So E3 is not looking so good either. So it's, what do you think is going to happen to the industry on the business side of things this year? Do you think we're going to see a setback, a degrading quality? Do you think nothing will change? Do you think we're going to see new shows prop up?
It's so hard to tell just because the ESA is the main one, the main puppet master, I would say, like behind E3, and then I think that they've also had a part in GDC. I can't remember.
ESA, you said?
Yeah, and so I mean I don't think they'll let the show fall apart. I think they're going to have something in its place. It's going to once again make this evolution, but it's weird because E3, even last year, I still had a full schedule. I still was able to preview the games and to go cover stuff and to network and to have a good time. So I think it's just going to be much different, especially after all these years watching it firsthand evolve and things change, and like we talked about at one point, like all the booth babes pretty much going away,
Mm-hmm.
and this is just, I think, another evolution of the show. If it stays in LA, who knows? But
Do you think we could see it leave the US? These big industry shows? Like right now, everything is centralized to the US with GDC and E3. There are other shows around the world, but do you think maybe we're going to see those shows like Gamescom, which is in Germany? Do you think we're going to see maybe that start being more the focal point for the industry to unite and do business, or maybe the Tokyo Game Show?
I don't think so. I mean, they've said even Tokyo game developers have been missing from TGS for the last couple of years, and Gamescom is just, I mean, it's basically, I mean, there's so many developers in different parts of the world, and I feel like there's a large amount of studios in North America to have E3 continue. And there's still going to be people that want to play the game firsthand, get their first hands on. So, I mean, I don't think so. I think something's got to change, but I mean, I don't really have an answer on what that's going to be like for each one of these shows, because I mean they've built up so much momentum over the years, and Gamescom is insanely busy.
Yeah,
and
300,000 people.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. And these are all the people that can't make their way to the US to come to stuff like GDC or E3, and this is their opportunity to get out in front of publishers that they wouldn't normally be able to touch. So, I just think changes will be made, but I don't know what that necessarily looks like.
Mm-hmm. It could also just be, a symptom of this virus that's going around the world. It could just be a hiccup year. And once kind of the fear I feel around the virus or a vaccine comes out, or everyone just kind of calms down about it. Like right now, it's not just the gaming industry that's affected by this virus. It's a lot of industries. And I think just 2020 is going to impact all that negatively, but maybe we're just going to see it all reset as well next year.
Yeah.
E3 is in way more trouble than GDC, I think.
Yeah.
When it comes to...
Well, yes and no. Because, I mean, GDC is a much smaller show, and the focus is much different. Mm-hmm. There's massive marketing budgets that go into E3 and promotion, and whose platform are they going to be on, and blah blah blah. So I don't know. It's definitely a different show than when I first attended back in like 2009. I think it was my first year.
You're talking about? Yeah. Well, it's opened up to the consumers. It's turning into more of a festival of gaming. So I think they should embrace that. The sooner that they can embrace that, the faster that they can finish kind of that pivot and go into a new direction.
Pivot?
What?
Oh, just imagine for a moment. Close your eyes. Close your eyes, Jason.
Where are you taking me?
Yeah, close your eyes, Jason.
They're closed. Where are we going?
All right, you're landing on a plane to LAX.
Okay.
You're touching down. Now you're touching me. Stop that, Jason. Okay, so close your eyes.
They're still closed, and I really want to open them.
There's three. You're pulling up to E3. Yeah. It is now a Coachella style festival in downtown LA. There's three massive areas. There's the South Hall, the West Hall, and this huge tent that video game artists, esports, and musical artists are going to take the stage. And it's much more accessible to you. The flight was cheap. The room was cheap or less expensive. And now you're at the show and you get to experience all these games plus performances. Mm-hmm. Is this the E3 that you would hope for?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
See, I think if it was much more of a, kind of like how there's like, no, not a lot of red tape at shows like that.
Like the buzz is when you have all the fans, like, especially gaming. A lot of people who game now have fans from around the world. You make friends online. So now if E3 can become that hub that all these friends can gather and you guys see each other once a year, like, we do. And
which it already has become,
Yeah, and then it's just fun being in that city, and you're like, all right, let's hang out, let's grab some food. Oh, did you play this game? Did you do that? What are you doing tonight? Oh, you're going to that concert. Let's go to this concert. Let's go try these games. Like, just like when we go, there's people who break off in the evening because they have access to like some EA event, and then they go and they play some EA games while someone else breaks off and goes sits in a church with PlayStation and gets bored to death.
That was me. We were so confused, and I couldn't even see the stage for The Last of Us.
Sounds wonderful. So
yeah, great.
I mean, it's already doing that, and I think if you just embrace that, you're not going to lose anything. People, the developers and publishers, they're still going to have they're still going to be able to book their meetings and have their private businesses. The games are still going to be there for people to try. The media is still going to be there. you can still have the red tape and just nobody talks about that. Like you just have a venue that nobody's aware of, and that's where the business deals go down.
Yeah.
Or like it's that upper floor where it's all just boring rooms.
Yeah, and I see people, like I remember I saw walking down the halls going to one of those business meetings one year.
You saw who?
And Miyamoto.
Yeah.
And I was just like trying to get a picture of him, and I was like, his security guards were like, "Get the hell out of here!" but like they're conducting business while all the other busyness of the show happens.
Yep.
And like I still feel like that's still totally possible if it's turned into more of a festival. The only problem is that it's the time of the year when the NHL playoffs are going on, the NBA playoffs are going on, and I've been there when the Kings and the Lakers were both in it, and it was fucking mayhem downtown LA.
Wow.
There's people everywhere.
Wow.
But that was kind of cool though to see, the sports people come out and cheer on, their West Coast team, and to be there with all the excitement, the gaming stuff. And then you had athletes coming over to E3 because they were just in the vicinity of each other and all this stuff. But yeah, it
can be a different city than LA as well. I'm not attached to that city in any capacity.
I'd like to see something back in Vegas. I think that would be cool.
I would like a city where I feel safer.
Detroit?
I grew up next to Detroit. Never crossed the border though. I hear Detroit is really nice these days. They've really changed their identity.
Here, let me put on my Sean hat again.
Oh boy.
Where would you put it? Safe? Like Montreal? Get the fuck out of here.
No, Montreal's too cold. Put it in Montreal in the summer. Beautiful. You get wonderful food. You get wonderful, like they have music festivals. The cuisine in Montreal is fantastic. And the weather's good when it's not winter. So just put it in August. That is the month that it is not winter in Montreal, and you're good. Yeah, it used to be on the East Coast. Bring it back to the East Coast. All right. Any before we get into the question rounds, any other topics you want to cover? Did you see Project GG from Platinum Games?
Beautiful Joe, give it to me. Give it to me.
It looks like it doesn't. Is it Beautiful Joe? It looked like Godzilla, like a mecha.
Well, I remember seeing some of the wording that they used means like transformation, and that it was pointing towards Beautiful Joe and all this stuff.
It really reminded me of like Ultraman. I think it's.
I don't know. I'm all pumped for that to be the case because it's been so long, and I feel like that was a very underappreciated IP on the GameCube.
Yeah, I've never played it, so I did not appreciate it.
Oh shit! Lightning round.
Yeah, that's why I said we're getting to it. We're just wrapping up the last few topics.
Might be.
But yeah, get your questions, topics ready for the lightning round. We're going to start it, and here goes the thing. Clickety clacked all over the lightning round graphic. Let's get some personal questions. What is this, therapy? Wow, we're not getting that personal. Was there any other topics we missed? You're just, what's going on through your head right now?
I'm just asking your favorite position.
In what?
Backer.
In football? I don't watch football.
No, when you sleep.
Probably on my side. How about you?
I'm like whatever I find comfortable. If one leg is sticking out of the blanket and like half my head is down and my body's turned, then that's how I'm gonna lay for the rest of the night.
That really annoys me if my foot is sticking out of the blanket. Like I can't do that. It's like Sub-Zero is just breathing on my foot, and I can't do that. I can't sleep with my toes out. When is the next Castlevania Diary? Good question. This last week, I was supposed to stream like 3 nights. The first night, my internet went to shit, and then it snowed for like 4 days while I was out of town. So I just stayed out of town and I couldn't stream. So I'm working, this is going to take a few months, but I'm working on building a streaming station basically on my girlfriend so that I can stream there or here, that the travel doesn't affect my output. So I would like to get the next Castlevania Diary as soon as possible. I did shoot a new Heiji Eats, so that's going to be coming out as soon as I finish editing it, which shouldn't be long. There was some interesting things in that box, including this wonderful little Kirby melon drink.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which it came out like slime, so I don't know if it went bad or what happened.
Or if that's how it's supposed to be.
It's actually, it's still here.
Oh my god.
I don't know if you can see the chunks. Spoiler alert, like, that's kind of the best part of this episode.
Yeah, spoiler, it's spoiled.
The chunks of just like, oh, there's a boogie on it. You see it?
It looks like Slimer's semen. And you licked it!
What? Tastes like Kirby.
Jason, play Vanquish. Brett says to play it. It's just an okay game. Big Fall. I have played it, and I wasn't too much of a fan going back to it. What are the Big Fall Nintendo launches?
Good question. I wish I knew. What do we have? Oh, I heard Pikmin 4 is being teased. A lot of rumors going around that Pikmin 4 could be a thing. Pikmin 4, Super Mario 3D World. These are the games that are going through the rumor mill right now. Have they announced anything beyond Animal Crossing? Maybe Bayonetta 3? Maybe?
Yeah. I don't know, which is even more important, once again, why they should have a direct and get out in front of this stuff now, because unless they're just going to drop some fucking... I think so. Last year, Nintendo was one of my picks they had the best presentation for E3, and I'm really hoping that they come out swinging like they did last year.
But what did they do? You know, that's a good point. And I remember being excited for Nintendo's presentation last year, but then what did they deliver on?
Banjo-Kazooie as characters. I think Dragon Quest Builders 2
How much did you play
Banjo-Kazooie
in Smash?
I haven't played it all.
There you go. So you were,
but
I'm sure you were cheering at the screen. You were probably like exploding with hype, and you didn't even play it.
You know what?
And I'm not.
Doesn't mean I'm never going to play it.
And I'm not trying to call you out, but I'm saying I'm guilty of that, and a lot of people in the community are guilty of that. And I'm saying that there's a lot of legit people who feel the hype and follow through with it, but there's far more who feel the hype and don't follow through with it.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, the same could be said about, you know, any industry really. I mean, you're going to have just, you know, general attrition, you know, just based on whatever the content is.
Not necessarily true. So if we look, for example, at film, I think if there's hype for film, it follows through into a successful film. Not so true in gaming, because the investment is so high, and most people can only get a couple of games a year because the cost of gaming is so high.
I disagree, because then you have people that, you know, become fans of movies that bombed at the box office that later become cult classics.
You have that in gaming too, though.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't necessarily think there's, you know, I think to a certain degree there's a correlation between, you know, how well the presentation is, the hype, and, you know, for people to go and then follow the game after that, sign up for announcements, follow it on social media, and do those types of things. But I think in general they do lose a lot of people, you know, just from, and plus there's so much shit going on at the show. There's so many things being announced. I mean, I can barely keep up with, you know, small little directs like, you know, Yacht Club games, plus whatever was going on at PAX, plus, you know, some of the onstage presentations, Borderlands 3, 1000 FPS Doom, and like all sorts of other shit. So
right. MDK asks, do you think COVID-19 is delaying things behind the scenes? That's the virus. I think it is. I think it's, like I said, I think it's affecting everyone. I think the reality is that the fear of the virus is worse than the virus itself. Think about it. Right now, we're hearing deaths. There's a confirmed death in the U.S., and they'll say like, oh, there's one death here. There's one death there. It's the only virus because it's hot, it's new, and the reality is we don't know that much about it. But if you had any other kind of virus and disease that was reported daily on death, like for example, influenza, which currently has a similar death rate to COVID-19, you would be hearing things like, today, 200 people died from influenza. Tomorrow, 500 people died from influenza. Like, the numbers are staggering, and we don't hear about it because it's not in the news cycle. So right now, this COVID-19 virus thing, the fear that it is causing people is way more problematic, I think, to the whole, to the world, to the economy, to all the industries. Is it deadly? Yes. To some age groups, to some specific groups. Is it the next SARS? No, it's already been proven to be far less fatal than SARS. So I think the fear is the worst part.
And not only that, we only see one side of it. I mean, we may not be too worried here in the United States, but since the majority of the outbreak is happening in China, and that's where a lot of business and parts are manufactured and things like that. I mean, they're probably doing their best to contain it, and what better way to contain it than to not, have people willy-nilly, leaving outside of the country, coming to the US. I mean, it's the media is most likely making a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be, but China is probably also doing their job by containing it, and which is probably causing more news and for people to freak out about it when it's not that serious, and they're just doing their best to contain it, period.
And it's not as contagious as people originally thought. It's not airborne, it's the droplet. So if someone sneezes and then you lick that sneeze, you're going to get it. So the best defense against it is honestly wash your hands, wear a mask if you're in high dense areas. Like, it's not.
You cannot tell me to not lick sneezes.
You can do whatever you want. They say shave your beard because it can get caught in your beard.
Get the hell out of here.
That is a legit story. Ooh. That's a legit story.
You want me to shave my beard? I'll shave my beard right now.
I don't want you to shave your beard. You keep that beautiful beard.
I don't want to shave it.
So yeah, short answer, yeah, I think it is definitely affecting things just because of all the travel issues. People are canceling trips. Companies are not risking sending employees. So every industry is affected, including, like, I know friends who are part of industries that are interconnected globally, and everybody's affected and everybody's forecasting losses. I think they said the stock market lost a couple $1 trillion in the last week. Like, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. Next question. Glasses don't protect that much. Greg nullifies the glass protection with the beard.
Dude, and I wear contacts sometimes, and my contacts and my prescription are too thick, and they get so dry, so I just end up taking them out. And I legit cannot see. Do
you think, going back to what Nintendo's releasing this fall, because we really don't know, do you think we're going to see a new IP from Nintendo, or do you think they're going to keep leaning on the tried and true? New CEO, remember?
Yeah. My estimate is probably going to be 70% of their successful first-party content. We're going to see something about, something that they've extending the franchise of party products. But then I think we'll see about 30% third-party and other being promoted during E3. Mm-hmm. So I think the majority of the focus is going to be on traditional Nintendo first-party IP, with about 30% of it dedicated to third-party and indies. Because and I find that I think Nintendo has kind of raised the flag that they're there to continue to support indies. And this year, I'm like, I don't know if that's still the case. So I'm anxious to see what they do to continue supporting the indie scene forward.
I mean, they did that big move with Cadence of Hyrule last year. Yeah, I didn't even realize that game was developed in Canada as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I also found out Luigi's Mansion 3 was developed in Canada. I had no idea.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
that's wild.
This country's doing more than I realize. It's all West Coast, though. It's all happening in Vancouver. Are we going to see anything from Metroid or Zelda this year? I think absolutely we're going to see some Zelda 2 updates at E3. Absolutely. I'll put money on it. $1 Canadian.
So 50 cents US?
Yeah. Has Sega given us anything for the year of Sonic other than the movie? So far, no. They teased that they were working on something, though. They did tease a new Sonic game, but
Yeah, and then they talked about that too, that they were going to more so focus on Sega first party IP that has been successful over the years.
I mean, Sonic hasn't been, and they keep focusing on that.
But I think I remember something talking about getting back to the roots or something along those lines, which honestly I wish they would just do another Sonic Mania, and because obviously in house they weren't capable of it until somebody else came along and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I think they're gonna try to still get the 3D formula down because there's a fan base for the 3D formula.
yeah, I do want to take one question that was up here talking about 8K being more prominent. I don't think so. I mean, I feel like the industry still hasn't latched on and perfected 4K, especially moving. I think they're going to probably be operating in that space, especially going from the Xbox One X and then all the current gen GPUs to before they make the bump to 8K. And I think the hardware is still not there, like consumer wise, in terms of is 8K display. I mean, I don't even have a monitor.
I
I
don't
have a
think the
27 inch
appetite is there
1080p.
anymore. Most people, I don't
Yeah,
think, care for 4K.
I mean, I mean, even if you have 4K now, you have other capabilities like ray tracing, and now they've gone and introduced more, TVs that have G Sync or monitors that have FreeSync and G Sync, and so you're getting better image quality out of a 4K monitor and experience with higher refresh rates and ray tracing. I think we're probably not going to be there even for the next couple of years, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think the adoption is going to be much slower.
You remember when in the 90s there was the bit wars. It was 8-bit, 16-bit, and the whole conversation was what's the next bit? And remember how it kind of started getting lost on people at about 128 bits?
Right around the Dreamcast.
Yeah, people were still saying like, "Oh, it's going to be 128 bits," but honestly, at that time, the conversation was already starting to change to how many polygons and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember that too.
I think that's what's going to happen with resolutions. We went from it's always been resolution talk, and people. I think the 8K is the equivalent of the 128-bit.
Yeah.
In the last.
Well, think about it too. Doom, the 1000 FPS.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to do 1,000 frames per second,
maybe
plus have it in 8K. I mean, it's the other features that are going to be
flex,
more
bro.
important.
That's just ridiculous. Tony had a first and final question. Do you think Nintendo's going to have another drought for a lack of Nintendo Direct news? I don't know what they're doing. I think they're preparing. They have to be preparing something pretty big. They had a really strong momentum with the Switch, and we are now 3 years into the console's life cycle. And for them to take their foot off the gas now, when we are on the cusp of 2 other consoles launching, seems silly. But Nintendo has done stuff like that in the past, so maybe they went too hard in the first 3 years.
I think this is another way.
Sorry, you muted yourself.
Am I? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think with the other companies backing out, I think it's just going to be a perfect opportunity for Nintendo or Xbox to really just easily win E3. But I think both companies have big stuff planned.
Yeah. I mean, the Switch is selling well, so they got to keep pushing games for that. Just waiting on it.
Yeah.
Next up, do you think Persona 5 will come to Switch? Assuming that there's no exclusive contract, I think yes. I think Persona 5 lends itself very well to the portability aspect, and you can see the proof with Persona 4 that was on Vita. I think we're going to see the whole Persona franchise come to Switch, if not this year, next year. And if not the whole franchise, at least Persona 4. Because I think right now there's so much Persona buzz, they'd be silly to not capitalize on that. And the Switch is such a unique piece of hardware. Yes, I do think it's going to come to Switch.
Persona Buzz.
The Persona Buzz. Is the graphics battle going to affect dev time and quality of product? I don't think so. Not at this point anymore. I think that's what we saw at the PS3, Xbox 360 era, when everybody was trying to push graphics hard. But now it's kind of the hype's over and people are just like, give me good gameplay, give me good features, give me good online, give me a good community to play with.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more flexibility now. Like if somebody wants, higher res images, they just, do a content patch that has higher texture assets. Or if they want to optimize, they can have that flexibility too.
Yeah. And the industry has really changed a lot thanks to games like Fortnite, Minecraft. Those games aren't the craziest, most realistic, high demanding games, yet they are wildly successful and cash cows. So I think there's more, instead of people, there's not as many people thinking of pushing boundaries on the visual style as much as, okay, let's see what we can do new with gameplay and experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got Xenoblade, that Xenoblade game coming. I think we're going to see a lot more Xenoblade stuff this year outside of just the Xenoblade remake. Okay, and we're going to be wrapping it up for today. Ooh, 7 minutes over. Greg, what's on your plate for this week and where can people find you if they want to hang out and chat with you?
You can find me. I'm always on Twitter as much as I can be, at enthusiast_Greg, or you can find me on Instagram at enthusiast_Greg. Don't really have too much going on this week. Just regular content on PC Invasion, and then upcoming reviews in the pipeline. I think I'm going to be reviewing the One Punch Man game, but I'm not sure.
Cool. For me, just trying to get as many streams as I can, trying to get that new Castlevania Diary, a new Hey Jay Eats out for you guys. If you can give the XP Games Summit Twitter handle a follow, I'd appreciate that. That's my next project, which is a developer conference in Toronto.
Block him.
Don't say that. So yeah, just honestly having more people following that account would help. So if you want to support that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, is there anything else that we know is happening this week? I don't think so. So assuming everything goes well, tomorrow we're playing a Castlevania game I really don't want to play. Hey, don't we have a Castlevania Season 3 coming out like this week or next week?
Oh, the anime?
Yeah, it's soon.
I do not know.
Soon.
I wasn't too impressed by the...
Okay, well, you've been banned. You've been banned to the Shadow Realm. So if everything goes well, Castlevania stream tomorrow, Hollow Knight stream on Tuesday, KJ Eats tomorrow, and Castlevania Diary Saturday. That's the best case scenario. Let's see how well I can stick to all that. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully Sean feels better by then. And until then, keep it classy, or as Greg, you're going to have to take Sean's role here, or as Greg would say,
keep it crassy.
Said it. All right. Have a good night, everyone.